All right, just want to do a breakdown on some psychology in reference to flat Earth revelation. This is really interesting, this flat Earth thing, because we who know the Earth is flat, we know it's flat. We don't even doubt it. So we have a sort of point of view. Once you get to this understanding, you get a a mountaintop point of view on the minds of people, their reactions, and where they come from. We can easily see how people are programmed, and you do get kind of a one up when trying to break this to people. It's very psychological. Like I said, this is a psychological issue more so than a scientific issue, you know, because most people would claim I'm not a scientist anyway. So, but you do know it's a globe, right? They're like, sure, and don't even know the physics. So it's a psychological thing. It's a sociology thing. But I ran across a comment. I was discussing this with someone who basically is from the angle of a how would I call it? We have some people who are into Afro cosmology, universalism. Basically, the people who really throw out the Bible, who throw out the Bible as they throw out the baby with the bathwater because they really reject how they grew up and how it was interpreted. So a lot of people just throw everything out completely. There was no Jesus, there is no God. It's all crap. Uh, but of course, as a human, we have to believe in something. Ironically, a lot of us fell into the religion of scientism, what it's called. This Big Bang materialist perception, which is fabricated. But how will we know it was fabricated? That's the thing. I guess you can't fault people for looking at the critique of such a thing as being paranoid, because the first thing a lot of people ask is, well, why would they lie about something like that? And that's what a lot of us would assume. Like, why would this be a lie? I mean, it must be observed. I mean, they have telescopes, right? I mean, how could you lie about this? It's overwhelming. A lot of people just can't see that. Um, it's too revealing as far as how society works too, and then you start getting into the conspiratorial angle, which then you really lose a lot of people. So it is interesting to see if this could even reach mass level, because of course most people understand things on the through osmosis anyway. So this would have to reach a level where people, just snagged it up, and they would have to leech onto it for some other reason. I don't think it'll be an understanding or a scientific understanding, though. I don't think that is gonna do it. It'll have to be something else. But anyway, she's basically firing back, and she's waiting on the Nibiru to come, Planet X, the alignment, and so this is the religion based off this fabricated universe that the atheists were given, and a lot of the New Age spiritualist people are getting into. So she says, "I hear you. I ain't married to none of this shit. I'll check out your vids on Flat Earth. I never claim I know all, but question if it was flat, why is that so important to you?" Now all of a sudden, I need psychological diagnosis. It's just crazy how. Why is it so important to you? But anyway, also, where is your proof that the ancients said this? They actually carved it in stone that it is round. Seems like you could just walk off the earth then. Laugh out loud. I'm not sure I have time to entertain this. See, it's that knee jerk response. It's based on nothing. Like I said, you really think we haven't thought through this reservation? So she comes back. It says, so there will be a pole shift very soon. The planet is off 20 degrees, which I am sure you agree that when you hold a compass, you can see that north should be east, hence the eastern northern star. The star is in the Sirius star system. It is our binary star system. I have actually seen that it is round, as above, so below. Nibiru orbits this star, also orbits our planet every 26,000 years to align the planet and put us back into golden age on the Yuga cycle. That's for people who into the New Age, Golden Age, the end of Kali Yuga. The Anunnaki are here now to help make our ascension process smooth and to improve our DNA. This means that many of us will still be here after the pole shift. When it happens, the round Earth will be aligned properly. If it was flat, it wouldn't be able to be aligned since they use electromagnetics to do it. There will be no grip for them, in other words. See, everything has to make sense. If something is off, that means it is probably tainted with Western thinking. Another low blow. If the earth is flat, we are all fucked and we are all going to die and life has no meaning, period. That was the key I wanted to relay here. If the earth is flat, we are all fucked and we are all going to die and life has no meaning, period. See, their religion is the universe. The Star Wars sci-fi galactic Anunnaki coming back to save us. That's their religion. They don't even realize it. And so, like someone else commented, it's like the people who come from the godless position, or the people who just foolishly reject all ancient wisdom that is in the Bible, even if you don't take it literally. These people have a harder time coming to terms with flat Earth. A lot of Christians have the upper hand. Now, the average Christian doesn't know a flat Earth yet, but I would be willing to bet it would be easier for them to accept it versus someone who rejected the entire concept of a god or some kind of force behind the creation. I think it'd be easier for a Christian to accept it. And this is interesting because so-called atheists are supposed to be smarter, but Flat Earth reveals that atheists were a creation, and really, that was the whole point of this Flat Earth or this Globe Earth conspiracy. Let me read a quote from the protocols here. Now, for people in the know, the protocols are basically a supposed manuscript from a meaning or manifesto of the rulers of the earth, basically, and their plan on how to rule the minds. It's interesting, though, because they say here, and what we know to be the fact of why they fabricated this lie, it says, this is the reason why. It is indispensable for us to undermine all faith, to tear out the mind of the Goyim, the very principle of Godhead and the Spirit, and to put in its place arithmetical calculations and material needs. So the mind of the Goyim, they're talking about the masses who they consider to be like cattle, animal, inferior. And they want to take out the mind, the concept of Godhead and Spirit, and put in its place arithmetical calculations and material needs. Now, as far as the majority, the masses, I don't think they weren't able to get the God concept out of their minds, but a certain cross section of the population, a certain intelligent cross section of the population, it worked. Because these people would have otherwise been probably geared toward more things, a little more metaphysical, I would say more spiritual. But with this universal fabrication, this materialist scientist, this Newton, this physics, this Einstein, like you said, we replaced it with arithmetical calculations and material needs, and that's all people hit you with, these calculations that mean nothing. It makes the mind more materialistic. So they created these atheists. This is ironic. It's so ironic because these same people who can't let go don't realize they're in the worst religion of all. Their religion has no backing in this total creation of man. Um, Whereas the religion that they're claiming to be so against actually has a basis in reality if you look behind all the veils and the allegories. So that's definitely interesting. Like I said, this is a psychological issue. A lot of people don't want to take that leap. I just find this very interesting because a lot of prominent speakers or researchers are even having a hard time admitting this. They're even brushing it off because it's very humbling. You're going to have to admit, even the smartest of us were deceived by this one. This is a big one, real big, and it stretches over all areas through all practices. Uh, because basically, you're talking about a whole area of, it's like natural science that has been ignored, neglected, and basically brushed off. When we get into the horizon, when we're looking at a horizon, I mean, we're really trained to have this cognitive dissonance. We know intuitively that horizon is not a curve. If we thought the horizon was a curve, we wouldn't continue to travel that path if we really thought that. I mean, we have this in our imagination, it's a globe, but we know if we keep on walking or traveling, it'll stay level. Um, like, so when we look at shots like this high altitude balloon shot, we have to, I mean, we've been so mind fucked. We have to retrain ourselves to see that that keeps continuing on a level plane. But what it is the way our eyes work. It's a vanishing point. Now artists know this, so I think a lot of artists will have an even easier time recognizing flat Earth because we know this. But along with the globe came this perversion of the interpretation of our senses. And this is really the greatest tragedy. How we were able to, be taught that we're looking at a curve. Like it's not a curve. It doesn't even make sense. It's kind of disturbing how this can happen to the human mind. But when we look at this, we're looking at something that continues and continues to go, level, straight, and flat. Down yonder, it continues. It's just that convergence point is the way our optics work. So we have to appreciate this fact and not question that. Because I know a lot of globe earthers would, you have to prove it, prove that's the a level plane and not a curve. But my question is, if that was the curve, we would be living on a cylinder if you really think about it. Because if you're talking about a sphere, that same curve would have to be 360. And I don't care what anybody says. If you're walking along a straight, long beach, you can keep walking straight. So you're not going to tell me that, but if I turn to my left or my right, I'm looking at a horizon. What if I keep walking parallel? It's straight. You're saying we living on a cylinder. No, 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 no. That's bull. We got to get it together. We live on a flat plane. It's tough to handle because then you got to take into account a whole new cosmology. And like I said, I always reference a lot of the ancients that corroborate the same description over and over. We talk about these waters. They talk about this air pocket we're in, these planes. They knew we were fooled. Peace.